Hello, I'm Rahul from the Robotics Network, and here with me is Team 10809 Crowforce. They've got a top 30 OPR in the world and have just one of the most consistent far zone shootings and intake cycles I've seen this season. Check out more on this video of Behind the Box.
This video on fun is brought to you by viewers like you and also in partnership with the following.
FRCTs has been trusted by over 250 First teams to save on custom shirts and team apparel. Founded by First alumni and offering a free 14-day turnaround with faster options available, you can save time and money for your team when you get a free quote by scanning the QR code or going to frcts.com. Kettering University's cutting-edge programs and their experiential co-op model seamlessly blend the professional and academic worlds, offering hands-on, future-focused learning that empowers students to pursue new ideas and inspires other institutions to follow their lead. Don't just be ahead of the curve, create the curve. Get more information at kettering.edu/first.
Okay, hello Team Crowforce. Obviously you guys have such a good robot, such a good tele-ups. What was your main strategy heading into the season and why did you choose for this robot archetype?
Thank you, Rahul. So coming into this season, we wanted to make sure that we could shoot from both far and close. But when we really started analyzing the strategy and watching a lot of other videos of what other teams are doing across the world, we saw the teams that were able to very quickly cycle from like 3 and like the different human player zones, either steal or getting your own, and shoot. They were extremely efficient, had really good cycle times, and then there's also a lot less defense played back there. To use like basketball terms, right? Like I think in the paint, it gets very clogged, right? We got a lot of centers and like mid-range shooters. We're more of a Steph Curry archetype out here. And that's kind of what we focused on when it came to the strategy this season.
Yeah, okay, let's just dive straight into your robot. Let's start with your intake. I know you guys are really good at slamming that corner and always getting 3 balls. Walk me through what intake wheels you're using, your motor speed, and things like that.
Yeah, so it's very simply just 3.5-inch Swift wheels on an 1150 RPM motor. One of the big things that we changed that has really helped a lot is this is double compliant. So this can move as well as the wheels. Unfortunately, this broke in our last match. So that has really allowed us to get a good hold on all 3 balls while mostly negating motor stall, even with just 1 motor on the intake. The other big thing is that this intake is about 2 balls wide. So we can consistently get a whole bunch in there and just sort of chug them through until we get all of them.
Yeah, and the next thing I'd like to say about your intake is you guys have even balls that are on the sides. You guys are really good in vectoring them in with your wedges. How many iterations do those wedges go through? And talk to me about those.
This is probably the 3rd or 4th. Most of the iterating was done on not having them break because like I think they're like a 30 degree or 45 degree, and that's been really consistent, especially when you just sort of slide in with the intake. The biggest part though is when you hit them so hard, they will snap really easily. So this is like the 4th version of making sure they're super durable, and they do help to support the intake.
Nice. Let's just go straight into your transfer. Can you show me into how your transfer works, how you get those artifacts into your shooter, and talk to me about how you have such a fast shot time?
Yeah, so one thing we started off with immediately was we had a triple servo transfer just because that was super easy to do. We found that was extremely slow because a servo is only going to run at about 80 RPMs or maybe 111 depending on servo. So we belted the transfer wheels in here to the intake transfer. So these run at 1150. And that's been way faster for actually transferring. The other thing we did is we have servos in the back here. One of the things we found that was inconsistent was you would get, because the balls are technically pushing in towards the ramp, it's hard to get like just a single ball up. So we have servos in the back that just sort of spin in the opposite direction. They don't need to spin that fast. And that helps to just propel the ball upwards, so we get a lot more consistent transfers. And it's just a very simple gatekeeper active wheel servo.
Yeah, I saw on your 3rd set of intake rollers, I saw you guys had some sort of compliance. Walk me into why you chose to have compliant on that, and
So the big reason behind that is just sort of consistency. Again, when we talk about getting balls up from into the transfer and into the shooter, if you have them too high up, then it doesn't go up well enough. But if you have them too low, then they get caught. So when we intake a ball, we have one get lower than the other. And that means that we'll have one kick it into position for the other to lift it up. So we found that to be way more consistent. And it also, again, helps to alleviate the stress on the motor when we're intaking because all of this is on one motor.
That's great. That's a really cool transfer. Let's just jump into your turret. Talk to me about why you're doing a chain drive, what motor you're using, and what all these gears are doing for your turret.
Yeah, so we started with a very simple turret. We did motor just because it was the easiest, and we did chain. Belt is definitely a better option. We did chain simply because it was easier to work with. We could have more more play with it. We could adjust it. So this ends up being, this is a 1620 on a 14:84 ratio, which is about a little more than, I believe, 5 rotations per second at the turret. And at 335 degrees of rotation, we can get back in under 0.2 of a second. The significance of this is it leads into an absolute encoder. So because you need an absolute encoder to run at an equivalent ratio to your turret, effectively this just mirrors the 14:84, which simplifies to 1:6 ratio here, by gearing it up to a 2:1 and then down on a 1:12. And so that fixed an issue we had early on, where with quadrature encoder positions, this would sometimes maybe slip in a match, and that would lead to bad shooting, which would have to require a reset, which is something we never want to do.
Yeah, that's
on the subject though of the actual turret itself, it's a very simple direct drive design. We tried several other shooters that were belted. We just found that the efficiency loss there is way too much, and this was way more consistent. It has a limelight so that we can read the motif during auto and have a backup for our teleop aiming. The important part is we have a fixed hood with a completely flat surface. This was after iteration over several designs, where we tried rail designs, and mostly rail designs, to reduce friction and hopefully reduce backspin. What we found though is that just produces inconsistencies in spin more so than actually reducing it. So just having a really solid surface and letting the wheels do the work in aligning it seems to work way more consistently than trying to have something on the back.
That's really cool. I see, has the fixed hood, has it been a limit for you in terms of what areas you can shoot from on the field versus whatnot? Or has it just been mainly for consistency, it's really helped you?
No, it hasn't actually, really. Mostly because we stick near the 3 zones. It's got the range for us to shoot pretty easily from both sides, no matter whether we're stealing or not. So it hasn't actually limited us. The only place you might find a little shortage is when you're going into mid, but even then it gets almost the entire area, so usually it's just a quick rotation.
And then in terms of actually calculating what speed to set your flywheel and stuff, obviously you guys are really consistent. Do you guys have any tips for making those shots go in and not bounce out, even without backspin rollers and stuff?
I was just gonna talk about with software. We use linear interpolation for all the distances, so we constantly adjust the RPM based off how far and close we are. But in terms of backspin, I think we're already used to it.
Yeah, so one of the things we tested 2 years ago was how to reduce friction on a surface, and we found that tent adhesive is really good at that. So we applied a whole bunch of it here, and that has helped backspin a lot. Also our shooter efficiency, without needing, again, the inconsistency of like a railed shooter. So that has helped a lot. Also, shot placement is very important, making sure that when you get it, that backspin helps to sink your shot instead of bouncing it out.
Do you recommend a specific shot point on the goal, which you've seen have a lot of, like, do you recommend backboard shots or more
usually back corner works the best. That will, like, if you can get it right there, it'll just send down.
That makes really good. That makes a lot of sense. Now, heading into San Diego Regionals in a few weeks, do you guys know what future improvements you're going to make, what things you're looking forward to?
Well, we'd like to adjust the shooter a little bit, because while it is a fixed hood, we believe a telescoping hood would be very helpful, especially with shooting on the move. It's just not something that's on the robot right now. The other thing is probably reinforcing this intake a bit. In the last match, they tore off our aluminum, so we need to reinforce that so that doesn't happen again. But mostly it'll be the same, just because this has been really consistent, and there aren't a lot of things that we necessarily need to improve.
All right, that's been such a good interview, Crowforce. Thank you so much for taking the time, and you guys have such an amazing robot. I can't wait to see more of this in action. This is Rahul reporting from the Fun Robotics Network.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell to stay up to date on future fun videos. Kettering University's cutting-edge programs and their experiential co-op model seamlessly blend the professional and academic worlds, offering hands-on, future-focused learning that empowers students to pursue new ideas and inspires other institutions to follow their lead. Don't just be ahead of the curve, create the curve. Get more information at kettering.edu/first. FRCTs has been trusted by over 250 first teams to save on custom shirts and team apparel. Founded by First alumni and offering a free 14-day turnaround with faster options available, you can save time and money for your team when you get a free quote by scanning the QR code or going to frcts.com.